Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Beyond Second Cognition. I'm Beall. The topic of this discussion is, it's not about seeking, it's about finding. I know people that have been on their path for 30, 40 years. These are the veteran seekers. They've pretty much made it a living their life seeking. I wonder how many of you have ever thought what would happen when you found what you were seeking. Seeking becomes like a drug. We move from one ideology to the next. Taoism, maybe Buddhism, New Ageism, Christianity or Mormonism or whatever. We kind of have this really bad itch that there's something there and we're trying to find it and we need to know what it is, and we'll try on as many pairs of spiritual shoes as we can put our feet into, seeking. And there's not anyone that's engaged on this path that really knows what they're going to find. But they got the internal itch, and boy, they're not going to quit seeking. Some people have been seeking so long, they create themselves this goulash of what they think they believe. They'll cite the Tao, and they'll cite theosophy and Christ consciousness and oneness and, gurus and shamanism, and they roll it all into this nice little sandwich. And yet, after all of this collective seeking, moving around from tradition to tradition, all they can do is spit out pieces of this and dashes of that, and they don't know anything. They think they know things. They can spout you chapter and verse of, what they think they know. And some of them, the more traditions they digest, they wind up able to spew out incomprehensible amounts of mishmash. The flat earth, the aliens are coming, and Christ consciousness is going to save us, and the sun doesn't exist. And, throw the whole litany in there, and by the time one that's a walking goulash mix like this, they're incomprehensible. They can't explain anything because they don't know anything. They don't know anything because they haven't figured anything out. But by God, they're seekers. How many of you seekers have thought, what the hell am I going to do if I find what I'm looking for? And see, then this brings another thought. What the fuck are you looking for? Do you know what you're looking for? Is it just fanciful ideas of magical healing powers, saving the world, or for the occult crowd, learning how to use sigils and signs and work magic and stuff like that, perform parlor tricks and show off for your friends? What's the end result? I'm going to be a powerful magician so I can hit somebody with a brick from 2 miles away. I ask all of you, like I did in the other video, what are you really seeking? The fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, none of you know what the fuck you're looking for. There's something there, but you don't know what it is. And you've tried on all the apparel in the spiritual mall, can't come up with a goddamn thing that fits for very long, doesn't scratch your itch for too awful long, and then you move on to find something else to scratch that itch. So you make a career out of seeking. And the thing is, when you're changing these schools, every one of them has a different objective. One wants to pump up enlightenment, and another one wants to pump up shamanism, and another wants to connect to the divine, and others want to become gurus. But nobody really knows what they want to do. If you become a guru, then what? You traipse around trying to get students to listen to your philosophical meanderings. You become a dime store shaman, doped up on acid most of the time, or maybe ayahuasca if you can afford it, and spout out nonsensical spiritual platitudes. Did you find what you were seeking, or did you just finally decided to stop looking and say, hey, I'm going to call myself a shaman, and that's as far as you go? If you've been doing this stuff for 40 years and you haven't found what you were seeking yet, you have one or two problems. First problem being, maybe you don't know what you're seeking, or what you're seeking is a myth and can't be found, and you'll be searching forever trying to find the magical, mystical key to your enlightenment, if that's what you're looking for. Or if you're looking for your communion with God through hours and hours of meditation and yoga, how's that working out for you? And for these transpersonal psychologists, seeking the peak experience, doing drugs, thinking they're having a mystical experience, and then come back down and they're the same ego-driven assholes they were before the trip. They may have seen a glimpse of the alleged wisdom of the universe handed out by the hive, but when they come back, they can't talk about it. They can't apply it, and they're still aggravated ego individuals when they get back. Only the drug gives them the sense that there's something out there. So, you come up to a point where someone says, here's some answers. This works. Now, I went down this road a lot, just like you folks did. I didn't get wrapped up in quite as many traditions as maybe some of you older veterans did, but I got wrapped up in enough in them to find out that there was nothing there. There was a lot of promises to lure me on, and all things like meditate and use your mantras and light your candles and use your tarot cards or whatever, stuff that I picked up on. And I found every bit of it after a while. Dead letter boxes. It wasn't teaching me anything. It wasn't moving me anyway. The only thing I learned out of it was not to fuck with this stuff, because it never paid off. So Gemma and I, we pushed through. And we finally got what all the seeking was going towards. We found it. And we're trying to tell other folks how we found it and how we did it and what worked. And we see it working in other people. But to these veteran seekers, they don't want to hear that, because they have all this doctrinal swill in their head, and they can jump from the Tao to Buddhism to Christ consciousness to shamanism and discuss all of them like they think they know something. But they're all still seeking something too. They haven't found what they were looking for. Reminds me of the story of a dog that was always chasing cars. One day he caught a car. So he's sitting there with that tire in his teeth, got a look on his face like, now what? See, this is the problem with you seekers. You're so busy seeking, you haven't thought a single thing about what happens if you find what you're looking for. And in most cases, what you're looking for doesn't exist. And when the right thing does present itself, you don't want to buy it because it doesn't fit into your expectations. So you can walk right up there and, like that dog, and bite the tire on that car. What are you going to do with it? So until you decide what you're trying to find, all the seeking is just masturbation. The seeking process is what we go through, wading through the trash, trying to find that nugget of gold. I'm done seeking. I found what I'm looking for. And I'm telling other people how I found it, and it'll work for them too. Another problem we have is people think that there can't be a teacher. They all died out 1,000, 2,500 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 100 years ago. They don't believe there can be anybody come today. Once a teacher comes and dies, he becomes ossified in time. And we just get so far removed from it. Like, we had one prophet, and that's the only prophet we're going to give you. They did it with Buddha, and they did it with Jesus. He's our prophet, and there will never be another one like him. So it closes the prophet door, closes the door to the teachers of wisdom, because they were the first and they were the only. And this is the mindset of humanity. And in the modern educated world, people can't stand the idea that someone might actually find what they've pissed away 40 years of their life looking for and not found themselves. So you have a bit of a jealousy factor. You know, I can recite all the verses of the Tao. Okay, how do you apply them? You can sit there and read Buddhist koans. Okay, how do you apply them? What are they doing for you? Where's your consciousness? Or are you just a robot going in there performing rituals, hoping something magical is going to happen and you're going to find enlightenment? And the New Agers, well, I don't know, some of them are waiting for the aliens to land, and others, I guess, are just waiting for the great whitewash in the sky to come down and clear their consciousness and shift it into who knows where. You said that this works off pragmatism, that this is a psychological process, not a spiritual process. And we've been very frank and honest and upfront in what we present. These days, with all this political correct sensitivity, people don't like frank talk. They can't stand someone that talks to them plain. If I don't flower it up, they don't want to listen. I've had more comments, oh, you're not nice. I'm not here to be nice. I'm here to educate. You know, you want nice, go down to the Democrat enlistment party. You know, they're really full of nice down there, hateful bastards. You all have expectations that are going to remain expectations until you decide that maybe what you're looking for is wrong. Maybe you don't understand the teachings that you think you do as well as you do. Maybe you can transcend your ego and think, well, there just might be someone who figured out this seeking thing and found an answer. But we don't want to hear that because it goes against our expectations and it goes against our desires, because it's too hard work. We don't get the free payoff at the end. We don't get our magical traits. We don't get our spell casting abilities or whatever the hell people are pursuing. It's like walking up and finding a $20 bill laying on the floor and not bending down to pick it up. You had a chance. You got a chance with our work too. You can either pick up our work like that $20 bill and move on and enhance yourself a little bit richer, or you can keep fiddling around, wandering in the wilderness, seeking and never finding. And see, that's another thing. All these seekers, they can't comprehend the idea that somebody may actually find the answer. And if we haven't found the answer, Gemma and I, why are we wasting time with these videos? Well, what we're peddling here, we're not saying follow us. We're saying here's a process. You do this, you're going to gain your cognitive freedom. You're going to set yourself free of the habits. Then you'll be your own sovereign, self-autonomous individual. And yet we still have people that protest that idea. I guess they're the ones that want to choose to be enslaved. If they do, then that's their choice. But I put zero value in their opinions when they decide to leave comments on our threads because they disagree. You can disagree all you want. You know, how's that 40 years of seeking working out for you, pal? You think you got an answer? Or are you going to go down to the latest fad and pick up the next Eckhart Tolle book, or the bullshit by David Wilcox or David Icke? I'm sure they'll take your money and feed you. When it gets down to it, I got nothing to hide. I got nothing to sell you except yourself. Oh yeah, I sell books, and people that get resentful for the time I've spent writing my books, eat shit. If you're too cheap to get a book, then don't buy it. You know, I mean, what the fuck is we sell to those that want them, and those that don't want them, don't fucking buy them. But if you're not producing anything of your own in contract to what I'm doing or we're doing, if you're not making videos, if you're not writing books, if you're not doing anything other than running your mouth, why should we give any credence to what your opinions are? They're opinions of non-doers. When you start doing, perhaps, maybe I'll give you the attention that you feel you deserve. If you're just running around a meat bag full of opinions and no work to show for it, save your breath. I'm not impressed. So, I was on the seeker path, and I sought hard. I dug hard. I paid lots of money for books that I wound up eventually throwing away because they were totally worthless. But I sought until I found, and once I found, I quit looking. I'm not looking anymore. I know what the great teachers taught. And I know that they had to do the same thing that I've done to get to where they were, to gain that understanding of wisdom. And see, people can't stand the idea that someone might actually find wisdom other than them. Oh, it's okay for some holy man that you've heard of, third hand, to say he's a holy man. But someone coming out and saying, I know about wisdom, oh no, that's anathema. You can't know about wisdom. You're no better than me. I've been seeking for 35 years. Okay, fine. Have you found wisdom yet? Or are you still chasing your tail seeking and not knowing what it is you're going to find? So with this, you found it, but you don't want none of it. Well, that's on you, not on me. It's on you for your false expectations and your reluctance to listen to the fact that this is your way out. This is where you find your conscious freedom. There's no woo-woo, there's no frills, there's no pink ribbons on the box. It's just plain sobriety and pragmatism and a lot of psychological turmoil to get there. If you want the fluffy stuff, then keep seeking. You can seek to put your butt in the grave. And that's the problem with this species. Willful blindness and willful ignorance. And a tremendous refusal to listen. They would rather balk and contest and insult and disparage than pause and then say, hey, you know what? There might be something to this. But for those of you doing the work, stay the course and don't give up on yourself.